Let's get this thing started. So, is it recording before I start?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for everyone who's come today. We've got about 26 guys in the room. We have the privilege of having Mrs. Melanie, well, Miss or Miss, I'm not sure, Miss Melanie Trinkwald here from Colorado to give us this presentation today. She is the manager of admissions and student engagement at Colorado, and I'm super thankful for you allowing us to have some of your time today. And so she will give us a presentation about Colorado, about all the amazing things about the school, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A session as well. So, Mr. Trinkwald, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Alex. Is there a certain time limit that we have at all?
About an hour, I guess. But
right,
yeah.
Perfect. Well, hi everybody. I'm Melanie Trinkwald. If you're wondering, Miss or Mrs. According to Alex, it's Miss. But Melanie or Mel is totally fine. I'm the manager of admissions and student engagement at the dental school, like Alex said. But so mostly I help a lot with admissions, but my main job is running orientation, graduation, white coat ceremony, student clubs and organizations, and basically everything student life. So if you have any questions about that side of things, you are talking to the right person. But all in all, I have a super fun job, and this is one of the fun things that I get to do. Last year, I had the honor of coming to your campus, but unfortunately, I can't do that this year. So very sad, but at least we're still together somehow. But I'm gonna go ahead and start with a video. So this video obviously was taken before COVID. If you want to know more about what the school looks like now since COVID, I'll go into that once we take a look at this. Can you hear?
I chose CU for many reasons. I was instantly attracted to the vibe on campus. Everybody just seemed so happy, yet serious about their studies.
I love the support, especially from my classmates. It's a campus that's very inclusive.
Honestly, the lifestyle, Colorado's a beautiful state. It allows you to really be happy with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And that's, being in the sun, being in the mountains, skiing, hiking, doing all those things.
Like the magnificent mountain peaks across our state, the University of Colorado School of Dental Medicine stands tall as a national leader in educational innovation. We are one of the only dental schools in the country utilizing a virtual reality lab where students experience dentistry through a different lens.
You can literally take the whole body apart. You can get inside of the skeleton's head, literally. It's one thing to be in a cadaver lab and kind of see it, but it's another thing to see all of the connections where they come from and to really get inside.
And in our haptics lab, students develop their fine motor skills and a dentist's sense of touch.
Go ahead and open for me again. So now we're just feeling the floor of the mouth.
Our first and second year, we do a lot of interprofessional courses, working with the different nursing students, the medical students, the PA students, public health students, really everyone on the Anschutz Medical Campus.
Your entire last year, you're doing rotations.
Yay, good job.
The experience CU dental students gain in the Advanced Clinical and Training Service Program is unmatched. They see between 6 and 8 patients per day in rotations throughout their 4th year in both urban and rural communities. That experience gives our graduates a competitive edge and the opportunity to build relationships within communities.
You get to be in cool parts of Colorado and underserved communities. The preceptors that we have at those clinics are all wonderful. They're there to teach and help and educate, and it's really been the highlight of my education here.
36% of CU dental students choose to pursue postgraduate education.
I really feel like I have transformed from a different person from when I first stepped foot into the dental school to graduation.
I love dentistry and I love where I'm going. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to experience it here because it provided everything that I need.
I feel so lucky to have come here, and I feel like I am going to be a great dentist because of CU.
All right, so you got to see a little bit of what the school looks like in that video. We do have our students back on campus now. Their lectures are over Zoom. Recently, I've actually been hearing an interesting opinion of that students are actually happy to be on Zoom because they can be home a little more. Their day is a little bit less filled. But there are, of course, also other students who maybe have families or don't want to be in their home all day, want to get out and do a little more. And that is more on the sad side for them. But luckily, our students have to come onto campus for clinics, for their rotations, for labs, all those different things. Our first year students are on campus more often this semester than they were that last semester. So they're very excited about that. And we are back to our third and fourth year students and everyone that has clinic and needs to see their patients. They are doing so. It is not to full capacity, but we are definitely doing well, especially because they are all now getting vaccinated. Other things about that, our AX rotations are still occurring. I'll go more into what that is in a moment. But so our students are still getting the experiences that they were expecting to get when coming to dental school, even though it may just look slightly different at this time. So I'm assuming you're all here to talk about our 4-year DDS program, but we have a couple other programs that I would like you to take a look at and hear about too in the meantime. So we'll dive more into the 4-year DDS as we go on, but we also have a 2-year advanced international student program. What that is for people who maybe they went to dental school in another country, or they were a practicing dentist in another country, but then they want to expand their education and become a dentist in the United States. This is a 2-year program that is sped up in order to help international students or international dentists come learn the different things that we may do differently in the United States, and then they can practice dentistry here. The thing that is a great addition to the DDS program about that is that you are working alongside people who may have already been dentists working in the dental field, but just in a different country. So those are great people to have on your side and create relationships with. Other programs we don't have too many residency programs. Some people see that as positive, some people see that as a negative. We have oral maxillofacial surgery, a partnership with the hospital on our campus. We have a periodontics residency, orthodontics, general practice residency, and then a partnership with the Children's Hospital, which is literally right across from our building, for a pediatric rotation. The positives of having these residencies is you get to get close with those faculty members, and they will already be knowing your name if you were to apply to them. The other thing is, for all those residency programs we do not have, all those patients and cases that would be going to residents because they're more difficult are now going to our dental students. So that is a little bit of an advantage of us having not too many residency programs. So we have a few curriculum highlights within that 4-year DDS program. One, they mentioned in that little video, the interprofessional education program. So that you are getting together with students all across campus, whether it's nursing students, med students, pharmacy, anesthesiology, and you're working with those students on cases in order to see how you can all work together to solve whatever that case may be. The great thing about that is we truly, truly believe in giving back to our community. And as dentists, you may see your patients more regularly than other doctors. Maybe you're seeing them twice a year. Maybe they're constantly very committed to getting their cleanings. So if you are able to spot sicknesses or something else that's going on in their health, that you can maybe refer them to another doctor if you have a relationship with those other doctors, or even just that close relationship with your patient. This is the program that teaches you how to really be a holistic doctor and not just a dentist. Then we have our global health initiative. We have a Guatemala trip that happens a few times a year. We have a partnership with a dentist office that is on a plantation in Guatemala. So you get to go there and to help give additional care to the community there. We do this with a dental office so that these people are not left without dental care when we leave, but we get to go and help give additional care. You can do this as many times as you want or as little as you want. You don't have to go at all if you're not interested, but a lot of people find a ton of value in this and love to go give back and also love the experience in general. Another perk of our program, every single student gets a free ASDA membership. Our school is extremely involved in the American Student Dental Association. I recommend you all to write down right now and later on go to Colorado ASDA.org. That website, go to the pre-dental page. When you're there, they have so much information for you. They put on events all of the time to help you with hand skills, to help you with applying to school, to talk about shadowing, to talk about the application, really anything, they have it for you. And you get to learn from them what they think about the school, talk to current students, also networking, get to know some faculty and get your name in here. We definitely love when people are involved in those different programs. Another thing is our ACTS program. This is the big highlight of our school. So when you are in your 4th year, every 2 weeks, you will be going on different rotations. So for 2 weeks, you will be on campus working with your patients and getting your procedures done that you would need for graduation. And then the next 2 weeks, you are off on your ACTS rotation. We have ACTS sites everywhere around the state of Colorado. You could be going 2 hours away to somewhere in the mountains, or you could be going to Grand Junction on the other side of the state. If you don't want to go far, you can also be staying in Denver, working with the communities here. This gives you the opportunity to go work in a dental office. You get to see more patients than you typically would when you are at the dental school doing your clinical rotations, and you get to test your skills. There are preceptors there that are trained with our school, so they are there to help you, to help teach you, to guide you while you are practicing in their office. But at that same time, you're getting to learn, how do they run their office? Is this a way that I want to run? Do I want to work in public or private dentistry? And this is like a real hands-on way to help you get accustomed to working in different offices and help you decide what you want to do. So basically, our students find this as the most valuable aspect of their education at our school. You get to choose, you get to put like your top 3. Usually people get their top choices, and then you rotate around those spaces. So it's a very, very exciting opportunity. All right, so our application cycle, this is the same as many other dental schools. You do it through the ADEA ADSAS application. If you have not looked on their website, I recommend you doing so you can start getting accustomed to that. The first week of June is when you can start applying. You can go in mid-May in order to start filling out your application. So then for June 1st, you can just hit submit and be ready to go. Because you are all out-of-state students, I recommend getting your application in as early as possible. That being said, I'll show you the statistics in a bit. There are way more people from out of state that are applying to our school than in state. So you definitely want to be ahead of the game and apply early. That being said, though, you want to make sure your application is complete. The deadline to submit your application is October 15th. We recommend that you have taken the DAT by at least August 31st so that we get your official scores in. This year, because of COVID, we were accepting unofficial score reports, and then we just waited for those official scores to come in. So say if on October 15th, you submitted your unofficial scores, maybe you took the exam on October 14th, because unfortunately your test center closed or something along those lines. That's been happening to a lot of people. We accepted the unofficial scores and that was fine. So we've made a bunch of exceptions in order to help people that are struggling with COVID and navigating the application cycle through that. So this was our class, our current DS2 class. If you want to see our current DS1 class, those statistics are on our website as well. So gold, that is who is out of state, all the different states that are represented at our school. As you can see, we have 56% in-state students and 44% out-of-state students. That means usually it's around 50-50 in-state versus out-of-state. This year happened to be a little bit more in-state. Of all of that, we had 2,700 applications that year. This year we had more. There were way more this year. I think everybody must have been sitting at home being like, well, I have nothing else to do because of COVID, so I'm going to apply to dental school. A little crazy, but there were a ton of applications. Of those 2,700 this year, like in that 2019 year, 200 of those were in state only. That means that 2,500 applicants were out of state for, we have a class of 80 students, so roughly at most 40 spots. So there is a ton of competition for out of state applicants. And that is why I recommend getting your application in early. Get yourself seen. Get involved in our pre-dental ASDA organization so that your name jumps out. We see who you are, you're talking to us. And then when we see your application come through, we go, oh, I remember her. And then you're a little bit more set. So if you are really wanting to come to Colorado, that's what I really recommend to you. All right, other things to take a look at. Right here, you can see our statistics from that class. Typically, it's always around these same numbers. Cumulative GPA 3.56, science GPA 3.46, average DAT 21. Say if you have 18 DAT, but you have a 3.7 GPA, that's fine. These aren't minimums. We do not have any minimum requirements. I recommend hopefully your DAT scores are above an 18, like an 18 range. That would probably be the best, lowest kind of scores that we look at, but we do not have a minimum. There is nothing that is going to make us say we automatically will not look at your application. We will look at every single application. So if these numbers scare you, if you can sell your application in a different way, that doesn't mean that you are hurt just by one number. We look at the holistic student no matter what. Here's a little bit more statistics. The last few years, there have been way more women entering our classes than men, 55% that year. And I believe it's also about that this current year. So super exciting. I love that. 23% first generation. I believe there's even more this year too. So that's also fun. And a nice mix from all over. All right, let's keep going. So tips before applying to dental school. So when you're in the position you are in now, you are all doing a good job already by being involved in this pre-dental committee. So good job. One thing to add to your application. Perfect. Do you all have pre-health advisors or pre-dental advisors at your school?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes, great. Make sure you're meeting with them, and because they know what to do to help you out. Also, I recommend if your pre-health advisors do not know too much about Colorado, I am happy to meet with them too. You can always encourage them to do that. Make sure you're enrolling in biology and chemistry courses. If you are not a biology or chemistry major, fine. We are happy to see if there are art majors, business majors, different things that are going to help you make yourself stand out. We even had a pharmacist apply to dental school, and that was fantastic because he was a great addition to the class. He got to help his peers with subjects that he already learned, he already mastered, and other students could come to him for help. So that was fantastic. More, if you at this time are able, something to consider, maybe go get a front desk job at a dental office, learn the ropes of the business of a dental office. Dental assisting, also fantastic. And if not, as you know, we do require shadowing, so you can just go make sure you're getting exposure in dental offices. Other things to make sure you have on your application: volunteer experience. This says in the healthcare environment, but outside of the healthcare environment is also just as valuable. We want to see that you care about giving back to your community. Other things to consider: make sure that you have leadership experience on your application. That's one thing that sometimes people feel that it's harder to get on your application, whether that's being a leader in a club, being a leader in a volunteer opportunity, maybe you're a captain of a sports team or an intramural sports team, whatever it is to get leadership experiences on your application, definitely try for that. These are other requirements of ours. So we require letters of recommendation. We have some prereqs that I will show you that we will go over. We also require an application fee. As I'm sure you know, we require the DAT exam, and we require shadowing and interviewing. The earlier you can get into these things, the better. So for our prerequisite requirements, I know this thing can be a little confusing. Up here, up top, these 4 courses: biology, general inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics. We require labs for those courses. Is your school in the semester system or quarter system?
The semester.
Semester. So we require 8 credits of these 4 topics. Typically, it's general introductory biology, general introductory of each of these things. So that would be maybe a 3-credit course and then a 1-credit lab, or if the lab is associated into that course, perfect. Just make sure that you are getting those labs in as well. Then down here, we require biochemistry and microbiology, but 3 credits and with no lab. So these ones we require with lab. Biochemistry and microbiology we require with no lab. Then we require English. Of these courses here, all of these courses we recommend, but we do not require them at all. One big one that I definitely recommend that you take, even though we don't require it, would be human anatomy and physiology. That is an extremely fast-paced course at our school, and if you have not had any exposure to it, it could be very hard. So you having a baseline understanding of it already is going to help you have an advantage in that. We do accept AP courses or IB courses. The way that works is we would need to see it on your transcript as a course name, course code, and a number of credits of that course. If that's not on your transcript, then you can have your university write us a letter saying that they counted your AP test or your IB scores for a specific class at your school. And that could be for any of these requirements.
Hi, I have a question. Are you able to answer it now?
Let's wait till the end because I may be able to answer it and then you can be the first to hop in. So letters of recommendation. We require 3, 2 science and 1 letter of your choice, or a pre-dental committee letter. Is that something that you all have? Do you have a pre-dental committee that write letters?
Yes, we do.
Yes, they do.
Yes. You do. Okay, great. So then that would be how you would get your letters of recommendation for us. And then we also, you have the opportunity to give a 4th letter if you would like. And that 4th letter can be from anyone you see that you think would write something great about you. Maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a mentor, a boss, anything along those lines, a dentist. that would be wonderful to have. But we require 3 for if you would like an additional. Then the personal statement. This is the thing that really, really can make you or break you. We know you love dentistry. We know you want to be a dentist. Most people that apply for dental school probably had some kind of extenuating circumstance as a kid that they went through with their dentist or with their mouth, and that's why they decided they want to become a dentist. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you want to give back to people as the way that you were given back to. But if you really want to make yourself stand out, we want to hear about you, something about you that's unique. Maybe you traveled the world and you learned something. Maybe you struggled from something and you can show that you're resilient. We want to see something that is different, that makes us go, I want to talk to that person and learn more about them. The way that you make it tie to dentistry is by saying, going through this experience is why I'm going to be a great dentist. This made me resilient. This made me want to give to others. This made me into the person I am today. And that's why I'm going to be a great dentist. So it doesn't necessarily need to be about being a dentist or being involved with teeth. So submit a thorough application in a timely manner. That is extremely important, like I said, because you are out of state. You want to make sure you are doing that sooner than later. Make sure that your personal statement is well written. Make sure you've had other people read it over so that you know things are correct. There's no big issues in it. I can't tell you how many times people think that they copied and pasted their personal statement correctly into their application, and it is only half there. So definitely make sure you go through your application and make sure everything is there and everything is complete. And maybe have a friend read through it for you, someone that you trust. Then make sure your letters of recommendation have signatures and have letterhead. A lot of people forget that part, but it is definitely making it more professional and more, we know that it's from a real person, and it's not just like you wrote it or something along those lines. Make sure that your dental shadowing hours are correct. We recommend that you shadow in multiple different places. We want you to be able to talk about your experiences. When you in an interview are asked, what kind of issues do you see in dentistry right now? We want you to be able to speak honestly because you have seen more than one office, more than one dentist, more than one type of dentistry. We require a minimum of 50 hours of shadowing, but majority of our applicants do above and beyond that, maybe 200 shadowing hours or so on. So that would put you in a good standing to have like over 200, but our minimum is 50. Then, of course, our prerequisite requirements. Then you need to have your experiences all correct, like your volunteering, things along those lines. Definitely have those. That's so important to us. And then, like I said, keep the errors on your application to a minimum because I can't tell you how many people, it's sad, that accidentally missed something. Then we have the application fee. This is old, so sorry, but the application fee is $85. This is an additional fee. You have to pay a fee in order to fill out your ADEA ADSAS application. That fee goes to them. Then you have to pay an $85 application fee to us. We really emphasize this because this is the very first step in our application cycle. If you have not paid the fee, your application will sit and wait until we receive your fee. So do that once you hit submit. There are also fee waivers that you can get through ADEA ADSAS. So make sure you're applying to those as well. If you receive that, just shoot us an email with the confirmation from them that you received the fee waiver. Next, the DAT exam. Make sure you are taking that ahead of time, like I said, so that when you submit your application is complete. Your DAT scores are included in there. If you do end up having to take the DAT maybe in the summer when you're applying, that's okay. But of course, the sooner, the earlier, the better. We do not accept the Canadian DAT, but you're all in Florida, so hopefully you're not taking that anyway. Dental shadowing hours, like I said, 50 hours, and get a wide span of dental offices in there. And then a couple of tips for you all. Make sure you're checking online in the ADEA ADSAS application portal about your application status. Also make sure you're often checking your junk mail. There are often times that we are missing something from your application. We will email you because we're missing something, because we want to get that fixed for you. We want to look at your application. So make sure that you are looking out for things. If you don't see anything, checking once is fine. It sometimes takes a bit for us to process things, so don't worry if it's been a couple of weeks. But if it's been a little too long and you're feeling funny, it does not hurt to reach out to us. But just be careful, because we are a very small admissions team. So we want to do our best to help you, get you in and out, taken care of, and we're going to inform you on where your application is at. So just trust the process and know that we are a rolling admissions cycle. So when application acceptances are occurring, typically it's the first business day in December, but this year is December 15th. We send out a huge chunk of acceptances. Then after a bit of time, we send out another chunk of acceptances, and then another chunk, because people will either accept or decline, and then we send out more and then more. So if you interviewed with us and by January you're worried because you haven't heard from us, that does not mean you're not getting accepted. So don't lose hope. That is your time to write a letter of intent that if you want to come to our school, that's your time. So just be conscious of how you are communicating with us, because we got your back. We hope that you got ours. We are not going to do your application wrong. We want to review you. You have applied to us for a reason. You are interested in coming to us. And so we're interested in seeing what you have to offer too. So yeah. Then interviews. We host interviews. This was August to November. We definitely have gone way farther now. We are still currently conducting interviews. We went from August and we are still conducting interviews now. Often we do interviews into January. This year we are doing even more at the current moment because we were a little bit pushed back from COVID. So also, if you don't hear about getting an interview offer up until January, you don't need to panic then either, because there's still hope. So keep that in mind. Make sure you practice your interviews. You don't want to show up seeming like you haven't talked about your experience in dentistry before, haven't talked about your achievements, about your failures, having talked about what you think about professionalism, or what you think about what you would do if you saw someone cheating. These are all topics that could come up in an interview, and we want to make sure that you are prepared to talk. One of my favorite questions to ask that I always ask at the end of an interview is, when you practice your interview, you probably have all these points that you want to make when you come and you speak to us. If my questions did not help you make those points, what is it that you need me to know before you leave this interview? So I personally make sure that I hear what you really need me to know about yourself, but not everyone does. So you want to make sure that in the questions they're asking you, you are really letting them know who you are, what you're passionate about, and what kind of a dental student and what kind of a dentist you will be. More interview tips. Of course, make sure you are dressed professionally. It is also totally fine to have your own little personality in the way you dress. Sometimes maybe somebody will have like a purple jacket, or they will have palm trees on their socks, or something that makes them stand out, that we're like, oh, that's who that was. That is absolutely acceptable. And I know some schools may say, no, like, we want you to be professional. we do want you to be professional, but we also love to see who you are. And then, like I said, be ready to talk about yourself. Be ready with the weirdest questions, whatever. Make sure you have questions to ask us, because we are not only interviewing you, but you are interviewing us as well. Make sure that you are asking the questions that will help you know if you are really wanting to come to this school or not. And then after the interview, we have a few things that you would need. We will be asking for a background check, technical standards to be signed. You must have health insurance, whether that is on your own or you can get health insurance from our school. Either is fine. And then make sure you are filling out the FAFSA. Make sure you are getting your financial aid prepared. That is so, so, so important and extremely needed. So definitely don't fall behind on that one. So say you're a reapplicant and you want to improve yourself. We have conversations with people all of the time. How do I improve my application for next year? There are so many people that apply the first time, maybe they interview and they don't get accepted, but then they come back again and they show, I do really want this school, and they end up getting accepted. It has happened way more than once. And that's absolutely fine. Maybe you just needed an extra year to get more shadowing, to get more leadership experiences. Maybe you needed to improve on your DAT, or maybe you needed to either do a post-bac program or a master's in order to improve your grades. There are all different options of how you could improve your application, but do not just apply with the same application. Unfortunately, you got denied for a reason. It may be because the application pool was huge and there were many, many great people, so we couldn't accept everyone. But if you are reapplying, definitely don't do nothing. Definitely show that you have used your year to improve yourself. I have interviewed someone who was on a gap year, perfectly fine, and that person said that they were not doing anything involved in dentistry in that year. They weren't involved in anything with school, and so those kind of things made it seem like that gap year was just for fun. Great, we want you to have fun during your time before beginning dental school when you're really nailed into the books. But we also want to see that you are working to improve yourself and build your resume. So keep that in mind. So final thoughts and tips, I'm going to leave up here. And then I will give you all the floor to ask questions. And I will do my best to answer every one of them I can. So if you want to shout out or send questions in the chat, either is fine with me.
So I was the one that.
Oh, I lost you.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So it was in regards because, so here's my issue. I graduate this semester, and Colorado is, I have friends there, so it's a school of interest.
Cool.
But the only problem is that that inorganic requirement, what happens if I can't fulfill that since I graduated this semester?
We do not make exceptions for our prerequisite requirements. You must meet our prerequisite requirements. If you have not taken any of the courses that we require in the time that you have had to complete your degree, people will take those courses at community colleges, they'll take them online, anything along those lines. It does not need to be from your college or university or Ohio. You can be going elsewhere to do that, but you must complete the labs in person. If they are not offering labs in person because of COVID, that is fine, but we do not accept in-person, take at-home lab kits or online labs. So keep that in mind, but we just don't make exceptions to our prerequisite requirements like that.
All right. No problem.
I see that there are some things in the chat. So let's see. If I worked in a dentist office for 4 years, do I need the shadowing? If you worked in one dentist office, I recommend going and shadowing in other offices so you can learn how other offices run and to shadow different kinds of procedures. So the answer is technically no, depending on what you're doing. If you are just working at the front desk of an office, yes, you need shadowing because you must shadow the dentist. If you were assisting, we do count that as dental shadowing hours, but you may want to expose yourself to other things. If you worked just for a general dentist, maybe you want to go shadow an orthodontist or an oral surgeon, just to get yourself exposed to other things. But if you are assisting, we do count it. Work hours and shadowing hours are different on the application. Correct, but we would count the working hours as shadowing if you actually were watching procedures. Do you require residency or citizenship? We do not. The only thing we require is that your prerequisite requirements are completed in the United States. So as long as you took that list of prerequisite coursework at FIU or anywhere else, yes, we have no limits on you applying to our school. All right. Do you have to put your name and PID to get point for active
towards
member?
the club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
for us.
I was
Yeah.
like,
No problem.
I'm not sure what that means.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry if I interrupted one of the chat questions. I just wanted to ask, because you were talking about how work hours sometimes can be counted as shadowing.
Mhm.
Do you mean that even if the person that applied put them on their work hours, then when the admissions committee is reviewing the application, even though they're listed on the work hours, you will acknowledge that, but also think, oh, but they could also be shadowing hours. It's not something that we have to put in the application, that we want to count them as both.
So you can list them under, so basically I run this part. I teach everyone who does this part how to do it. And the way that my method is first, you go and you look at the shadowing hour section. When you look at the shadowing hour section, say it was only 10 hours or there was nothing there. My next step would be going to look under dental experiences, because maybe that was like something that wasn't shadowing. I would look there. If I don't see something that seems like shadowing there, then I would go look under working experiences or employment. And so it could be listed under any of those things. If you are assisting, if you are a hygienist, we count that as shadowing because you're in there, you're in somebody's mouth, you're watching other procedures happen. And so we do acknowledge that and count that. And so then when I see that, I mark it as, yes, you completed our dental shadowing.
I have like a follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so before COVID happened, I was shadowing one dental office, and I had shadowed two before that. But
Mhm.
my total hours were like 80 or 90 at that point, because I didn't shadow for like a long time, each of
Mhm.
those offices. When COVID came, I started shadowing virtually. Now, the thing with this is that I know most schools like recommend putting that under like academic enrichment or like some sort of other experience. Well, Colorado, when you're like again reviewing the application, even though it's not shadowing per se, does that still get like recognized in a sense?
So we have not completely made this decision yet, because it wasn't really an issue with this application cycle, because pretty much when COVID hit, if you weren't shadowing before then you weren't really interested in being a dentist. You weren't really involved. So we did not accept the virtual shadowing as our shadowing requirement then. But this year may be different. The thing is, though, it seems like the conversation is that virtual shadowing is more like talking to a dentist or watching procedures on maybe YouTube. It's not really shadowing and seeing the experience in person, holding a tool, seeing where the tool goes. It's not as, you don't gain as much information from it. So the feel so far, it's not a decided thing yet, but it seems like listing it as academic enrichment, like you said, or like a dental experience, but not shadowing, is acceptable, but we can't count it as shadowing. You're lucky that you still already have 80 or 90 shadowing hours. So you're set, you're good. And then this is all just additional enrichment, which is great. As long as you were keeping yourself exposed to the dental field and to dentistry during COVID, even though you can't be there physically in person, we know you're at least trying. So that helps, but you still do need to meet our minimum shadowing requirement.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, more questions in the chat. If I almost graduated in dental school, but in another country, do we have to translate and put in the application? Do you mind giving a little more information, unmuting yourself and explaining what you mean by do we have to translate? Jordy?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, do you mind explaining a little more?
Well, I almost graduated in Cuba, but I don't know if I'm continuing my career here in FIU, and I don't know if I have to, to translate and put it back, the all information, the old classes that I took in Cuba to,
when you fill out the IDEA ADSAS application, you do need to include all previous education. Just as I'm sure you realized when applying, like through the application to apply to all universities, like the College Board, you had to include everything. That is how it is here too. You have to include all previous coursework, and that's not necessarily just a University of Colorado thing. That's the IDEA ADSAS, who controls all dental applications. That's their thing.
Okay, yeah.
And so part of that is sometimes people will submit their application and will not include all of their coursework, and then their application doesn't get verified. We do not review unverified applications. Your application needs to be verified through IDEA ADSAS for us to review it. And so you need to make sure that you have all of your information in there.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Of course. Would it look bad if the majority of my shadowing hours come from the same dentist? She takes the time to actually teach me, and she is doing what she is doing rather than just have me stand there clueless. No, it absolutely doesn't look bad, but it looks much better if you have experienced other dental offices, other dentists, other types of dentistry. For example, if this person that is teaching you is a periodontist, but they don't do orthodontist work, maybe you should go expose yourself to an orthodontist or a general dentist so that you get a little bit more views from other dentistry, not just the one that you're seeing. So it's fine for meeting our requirement, but it will help you in the long run to do more. Sorry. Will you accept interfolio letters in this coming cycle? No. We can only accept letters of recommendation through the IDEA ADSAS portal, and that is it.
I had a question. Throughout the presentation, you often mention that only fourth years get their hands on real patients. Do we get exposure? No?
So that's incorrect. Fourth years get to go on ACTS rotations. So that is when you go off campus to dental offices and you work with a preceptor. So you're kind of being treated like a real dentist, like out in the field. You get clinical exposure starting in your first year in January. There are current first years that are assisting right now. You also then are in the screening department. And so you are looking at incoming patients now. It's determining what kind of work they need and if we can help them at the dental school. Something also for you all to know, you do not need to go out and find your own patients at our dental school because we are the only dental school in Colorado. So that means so many people from all across the state come to our school for cheaper dental care from our students. We serve at least 60,000 patients a year. So tons of people coming to you. You don't need to go out and find people to do your work on. But so you are getting clinical exposure, working with patients all 4 years. You are just only going on those AX rotations in your 4th year because that's when you're getting treated like a real dentist, and you're not ready to do that beforehand.
Thank you.
I have a question about that. In the video, it showed. I'm sorry about my dog. He's
That's okay.
here. I saw in the video something very cool. How students can have like this simulation kind of experience to practice. Does this begin during the 1st year as well, or is this something that is?
It is mostly used in the 1st year. It is mostly used for in addition to our human anatomy class. So you would be using a cadaver, mostly a head, but you would also have the experience to be using this virtual reality for human anatomy so that you don't need to be in the cadaver lab. You can also take apart the virtual body. You can walk around the virtual body and help you study or help you learn in that way as well. You can also utilize that space for different things. We use it for helping with resiliency. So say you're super stressed out and you want some time to go play a game or meditate or something along those lines, you can go and use that headset for that. We also utilize that to help people build empathetic skills. Maybe you have no idea what on earth it would be like to experience homelessness. You can put on that headset and help you experience what it may be like to experience those things. Of course, it is not going to be the same as feeling hungry or really feeling those true feelings, but we utilize it to help you understand your patients more. We also have our haptics lab. So that is a lab in which we have machines that you can sit at, and there is a tool attached and a mirror attached, and you can drill into virtual teeth, and it gives you feedback as if you were drilling into a carie, or if you hit places in the tooth that you should not be hitting. So there's virtual headsets, but there is also this virtual system that you can practice your hand skills on as well, and that is used in your 1st year dental class.
That is so awesome. And
yeah,
is this technology, like you were saying, it's not only for practice our skills, but also to relax and meditate and all this? Is this technology something that we can have access to, even though it's not is it only used during class time? I mean,
you can sign up to come in at whatever time you would like to go into and use it.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Of course.
I have a question. For the loan and basically in-state, out-of-state, since we're in Florida, we count as out-of-state. I know some schools, after the 1st year, you can count as an in-state. Is Colorado like that, or all 4 years we count as out-of-state?
Unfortunately, no. We can only count you as out-of-state for all 4 years. So if you are really, really dedicated to Colorado and you would really, really like in-state tuition, I recommend, if you can, moving here and working here beforehand, so that you can get that in-state tuition, because unfortunately it's locked in for all 4 years at the moment.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have a question in the chat. I answered that one already. About residency or citizenship. That answer was no. You can be, you do not need to be citizen of the United States in order to apply to our dental school. You just have to have completed all of our prerequisite requirements in the United States, and that's it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Is there any more questions that I could help you all with?
I just thought of one last one, and I'm sorry for.
Yeah, no, please.
Do you know by now if the interviews this cycle are going to be, well, next cycle, are going to be through Zoom or in person?
We do not know yet because we do not know what the world is going to look like at that point. It's all going to depend. If we are able, we would love to be able to host some at least visit days so that people could see our school in person. But there's really no way to know quite yet. The virtual had its perks, the virtual interviews, because if somebody could not afford to come and visit our school and interview at our school, they still got to interview with us. So there's definitely pluses and minuses to the virtual interviewing. But we will just have to see how the summer goes and how the next couple months go.
It is understandable.
Yeah.
Given the current situation.
Mm-hmm. How long have I been living in Colorado, and what do I think is my favorite part of living here? So I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island. I have been living in Colorado for 3.5 years. I graduated from my undergrad and wanted to get out. I came here for my master's, and then I stayed. I used my master's as a way to move to Colorado, really. And so I love Colorado. Some things I can say is Florida is a very humid place. So is New York. Colorado is so dry. It is so nice. That's why I'm dying over here and need to drink water, because it's a lot. It's dry here, but that's the amazing thing is my hair is always nice. I don't step out of the shower and feel like I need to jump back in. The dryness is awesome. They say 300 days of sunshine. So there are more sunny days than there are gray days. It is beautiful here. People have the idea that it is super cold and always snowy. That is not true, because Denver is right off of the mountain in the plain and not in the mountains. The mountains all winter long are filled with snow, beautiful, amazing for skiing and snowboarding, amazing place. But luckily we have a very great climate where we are. I'd say there are more 60-degree days here in the winter than I've ever experienced living in New York. So it is sometimes comfortable. We also have plenty of Florida students. I even have a bunch of friends here that are not dental students that are from Florida that I just met through living here. So for some reason, a lot of Floridians love to come to Colorado. I'd say my favorite thing is all of that. Coming from New York, I went to my undergrad in New York City. I love being in a little city, but not a huge city. I'd say the people here are much more friendly than what I'm used to. People are more caring. You have a little bit more space. And there's still a ton to do city-wise. And then there's all the mountain experiences in addition to that. So hiking, skiing, if you mountain bike, things like that. So really any questions you have about Colorado lifestyle, I love it here and I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for me?
How expensive is it to live in Denver, I guess?
I'm going to assume it is cheaper than Miami. What I like to compare it to as a New Yorker, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. My friend that lived in Manhattan had a 2-bedroom apartment that was kind of like 2 closets, like they could fit their beds in there and that's about it. Their little kitchen, they had no real living room. They had a little kitchen and there wasn't even an oven. That's how small it was. They paid double what I pay. So I think that the cost of living is fantastic. But of course, there are people that are from the middle of the country, not near a city, where their cost of living is much cheaper than it would be in a city. And so then they think that Colorado or Denver, the Denver metro area, is expensive. But realistically, as a little city, it's pretty affordable.
Okay. That's good.
It is. All right, any last questions for me, anyone?
I have a question, because why not?
Go for it.
Outside of the ACTS program, and being in Denver, what do you think makes Colorado stand out from other schools?
I'd say
and
the
PR
community
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, the community. One thing that I hear from my dental students is that they have heard that at many dental schools, it is extremely competitive and it is stressful because of that. That is one thing that, of course, you're going to have some competitive people. You're going to want to be a top student, of course, but the community at Colorado is what makes the huge difference. We have mentoring opportunities. Every single second-year student gets partnered with a mentee first-year student when they enter the school. So that immediately creates the relationship of you can communicate to upperclassmen. You can ask upperclassmen for help, and they are more than happy to help you. Upperclassmen give underclassmen advice on, in this class, you don't necessarily actually need to read the textbook. Make sure you're looking at this information. You need to watch these for this class. There is so much communicating that goes on between the class years and that goes on between the faculty to the students too. It is such a warm community and there is always someone there that is willing to help you, whether it's with school, with your personal life, in any way that you need. Like everyone, most people have each other's back. And that's the really nice thing. So of course, you're going to get a great education. You're going to have great experiences, but you're going to also create amazing relationships and people are going to be there for you and to help you get through it and to be there when you need someone.
Thank you so much. That sounds great.
Of course. All right. Well, I'm going to end it on that since we are over time. But thank you so much, everyone. This here is my information. I am Melanie Trinkwald down on the bottom. Miss Crystal Ridgely is basically the head of admissions, but then there's Dr. Rick Mediavia, and he is the associate dean. So he is also an amazing contact to have, and he is a dentist himself. So we are here for you. If you have any questions for us, please reach out. And if there's anything I did not cover, please email me, message me, whatever it is you need. So thank you, everyone. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Trinkwald. This was very, very, very good.